is saying that power is in the mind. So if you put the two together and you gain control of your mind, you will have power over your situation and you can get a handle on your life.
The class was perfectly structured to where we started off nice and slow, and then he let us know what was important, what we needed to know, what we was going to learn, and then we started taking those steps.
When we got the text, it was broken down to us if you wasn't able to understand it. That's what the Raja helps you do. It helps you break it down and give you a fully understanding of what you read.
When the final came, we were able to take the question and relate it back to our own perspectives and be able to understand it and write in the essay that I was able to just to show that we knew the true meaning of what we were writing.
We just read a paper and almost already know what's going to come out on the paper when we write it. So it's easier in the aspect of now we actually know how to do it, and it's not so much of a task anymore. It's just like comes naturally.
There's a little gap in there.
Well, this class is not only did we learn a lot of skills on how to write and how to analyze everything, but we learned how to take a different approach to education.
Being in that class actually changed our perception about education and taking the approach to actually obtain knowledge.
We read Krishnamurti's first article that said education is about discovery. And through all these articles, it made us want to seek the knowledge instead of just taking it for what it is. Cornell West, reading articles from Krishnamurti, to Barbara Jordan, all of these examples of those who came before us that took education really seriously, and that's one thing that we've been taught. Everybody was being able to understand that knowledge is a weapon, that a tool that we use in our lives. That we're able to, when you have knowledge, you can't be taken advantage of. You can use your knowledge to help others. We also learned that the importance of knowledge is the examined life is worth living, but the unexamined life is not worth living. Cornell West said that. He was quoting Socrates when he said that. You go through life and you don't educate yourself, you don't do anything with your life, you're just basically animating your life, you end your life meaninglessly. But the examined life is painful because you have to first examine yourself, but then only to educate yourself and be able to make your life worth living, to be able to understand and teach those after you.
But this class, it gives you that material that you're interested in, and it gives you that material that you can relate to. So that's another reason why you want to read it. Like with the Krishnamurti piece, you know what I'm saying? I was really excited when I read that. So I went out and got the book, Thinking These Things by Krishnamurti, and now I'm reading that book.
And then after I read The Function of Education by Krishnamurti, and it said education is about discovery and stuff, is that you have to go seek the knowledge that you want to have, that it's just not going to come to you. It's something that I knew, but it wasn't full surface until I read that. It's like now, I've actually made a goal to myself to read Thomas Paine's Common Sense over the break.
That child, the promised land, and that child, and the promised land. And basically about a young dude just like us that was actually facing the same struggles that we had, whether it be in school, whether it was temptation within the streets, the struggles of actually being informed with knowledge that wasn't right, that wasn't correct. And that's just the same with us, is that we are being raised into false knowledge. You know, this is what it takes to be a man, or this is what you got to do to survive. You got to rob, steal, you got to, by all means necessary, get out for what it is that you want. You know what I mean? And Claude Graham, which is the character in the book, had to face those same struggles, and eventually had to come to a point where he had to think critically against the grain of what was taught, what was installed into him, and actually stand firm in what he believed in as a person. And I think that's what we are being taught today. And Cornell West actually quoted that. He said, we have to muster up the courage to think critically against the grain.
The Raja is too. It's part of the community. It ain't just about yourself. This is bigger than just yourself. It's a community. It's real being. So people invest into this Raja thing. So when you're in class, it ain't just about you. It's about the man and the woman next to you. You know, we all trying to help each other so we can grow and basically, broaden our reading and writing skills.
Learning from one another, I think that also helps build confidence in each other, which is knowing that this person has these struggles, and then knowing that I also have these struggles. What was taught to us is to actually accept what kind of struggles we have and to project them so that we can work them. And I think that's a lot that helped build that confidence in each other.
And I found that if I wasn't reading, I couldn't challenge myself or challenge my community. And if I wasn't growing, they weren't growing. if I'm not going as strong as I can be, then it hinders everybody else, because everybody's input in this community really is needed to make us grow as a full plant, a full flower, to actually come to full fruition.
If he can't take part in the discussion, I mean, I don't know what he has to say about the discussion. I don't know his point of view about the discussion, so that I can take away, I could use what he had to say in my writing, but because he didn't read, he couldn't take part, and, I couldn't use it.
And once you're in this community, you feel kind of responsible to it, and that if you don't share it, the community suffers.
We didn't just talk to each other just in class, we also just talked outside of class. We see people walking around, and when you say, hey, how you doing, they'll tell you, I'm having a problem with this, I'm feeling discouraged, and there's just so much just to say, to hear somebody say, yeah, you can do it. You in a community with them, they'll tell you, when you're down, you just gotta keep pushing.
So you slacking off, you got somebody to help you out and tell you what you're slacking off on.
The whole program is set up to where you basically gotta succeed, you know what I'm saying? If he see you failing, he'll personally call you on the phone and ask you what's going on, what's wrong, how can we fix this? I've gotten that call personally myself. He asked me like, what's going on? He started off strong, but now, I'm saying, missing classes, and we fixed it together. It's hard to not be confident because we all the same somewhere or another, and that's what it took for me to realize.
So let me ask you a question, Brad. What category am I in?
Oh, this man in front of the class every day. Every time the teacher ain't even finished saying, he got to say that, he ain't going up. There's no reason why a teacher should go into a classroom ready with some criteria that they got from somewhere else, because every class is different. You gotta analyze first, man. You gotta see the need. You gotta see what the people that you're dealing with need and what they want. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way. You gotta know how to get through to your specific group of people.
That's my community. Like, not really on me, as I said, let your students talk to each other about everything during the class, no matter like how relevant it is. Like, I remember I was always running with you. Everything. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, that's how I learned that. And another thing is, you know what I'm saying, be open for your students. And I mean, that's like being there. Like,
It's just having your heart in it as a teacher, you know what I mean? Like not just looking at a certain curriculum or structure of how to teach a class, but to actually have your heart in it and to actually empathize, like place yourself as a student, like how is it to learn, you know what I mean? How challenging is this, you know what I mean? And understanding that this may be challenging for certain people, for this certain group of people, and actually just taking that time out to empathize and actually just, I don't know, just understand where the student is coming from, you know what I mean? And to know and respect each and every student's mind. I think a lot of teachers don't do that. They don't respect students' minds or respect what it is, where they coming from, what their background is, you know what I mean? The things that they've been through.
we were in English 102, and we had the English 1A teacher come in and to take part in the community and the discussion that we had. And she was really excited. She didn't want to leave our class. She already gave us homework. So, I mean, I think she's excited for us to move on, and we all are pretty comfortable moving on.
Okay. All right, so ready? You're going to talk to your neighbors. Have your pen out. Share what language, what stood out for you. And part of queasing, you quoted, part of queasing is when you talk. So capture your own thoughts. Expand your ingredients. Ready? Go. Make sure everybody has someone to talk to. You got 2, maybe 3 minutes. I hope you collected language. So you got some good ingredients going. Let's talk a little bit at the room, in the big room, just about some of the things you want to bring up. Just maybe 3-4 minutes. Feel free, anybody.
I thought the most notable quote that you said was, "Damn, we're dead here in Kentucky."
The word damn. Oh, sorry.
No, not that word. That we're dead in Kentucky.
Oh, did I say that?
You did. And I thought that was a very really convincing, and maybe we got to change things in policy.
What was it in reference to?
The way of loving words and having to do with integrating reading and writing and making sure that students have a college experience, the developmental students having a college experience.
Okay. Anybody else? Makes me nervous. We're just going to take from the what we watch the students talk about. Oh, up here? So she said the best quote she liked so far, which wasn't from the film, is when I said, "Damn, we're dead here in Kentucky."
I don't know that it's a quote, but just the overall pride and happiness you saw in the kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It came out in a lot of the quotes, but just that overall theme.
And like backtrack that. Go back to the start of the semester. Like, how'd that come out? Start to guess at it from the things you heard from them.
Well, I think that the community became, the learning community became very important too. And at first it was kind of pressure, peer pressure, that if some of them were slacking, the rest of them wouldn't, just like you said, no student gets a pass. Some of the other students wouldn't let the other kids have a pass. Then it got to be, I almost think, competitive, trying to come up with better sentences, better ideas, better concepts, not just a concept, but to be better than the other people in the group.
And there was part of that. There was sort of a little intellectual dueling. Yes.
One of the quotes I liked was, "How to be amidst the fear, take this fear and put it in my pocket."
So, let's hold on to that. Let's squeeze that a little bit. And here's the question. You guys could try this out. If all of those students said they were afraid when they first came, right? Big tough guys and all that, and they had, there's many things in their lives that they could be like literally afraid of. They're sitting in school, they're afraid. A lot of times we forget that in the first couple weeks of class, particularly how afraid our students are. Put that fear in my pocket. How can that be a practice? This is the question. How can that be a practice in your work? I don't care whether you're the vice whatever, or I don't know what your job is, but you're an educator. How can that be a practice to help students put that fear they have in our institutions in their pocket? Just ask yourself that for a second. From your vantage point, whatever your job is.
First couple of weeks, get them comfortable.
Mm-hmm. How?
Don't give a 20% test the first 2 weeks. Do some exercises to build success, to show they can do it, maybe for 2 or 3 points. Show them success. Show them they can be successful.
Get to know them.
Get to know them. That's good. That success thing. We do a challenge when we work with schools for extended periods where they have to design a month of class where it's impossible to have any failure there in that month. You could do it and still have a totally successful course, reach all your educational outcomes and all that. 1 second, shoes first and then.
That goes back to respect the students' minds. That's exactly what a teacher who sets up a love community environment does from the beginning.
So I'm a young teacher. I meet teachers all the time that want to be great. They really do. They're like totally earnest. They want to be great teachers. They're not sure the moves to make, right? They're not, and granted, that's part of as you put yourself out there, you're fearless and you learn. But fill that in. I'm a young teacher. I want to hear you expound.
Sorry to interrupt there, but I like the way you're having us take language from the students, because how often do we do that as teachers? And I think we focus so much on giving language to the students instead of taking language from the students, and that empowers them and shows that we're listening to them, and I think that's key.
That's a great answer. Yes, this young man, younger than me.
Well, I guess to answer the first question earlier that you asked, how do we take that and turn that to use our practice? From my work, what I do, I work with a living learning community, but I focus mainly on the co-curricular, everything that's happening outside of the classroom and so on. And it takes a little bit, well, from my practice, from my experience, from what I understand, it takes a little bit more than just understanding them, but also understanding how they're perceiving us, and how do you provide them with an experience where they know and feel like they have an advocate that they can go to, and that kind of gets rid of the fear, because a lot of them are fearful to even go to ask for help because they don't know how, or assistance because they don't know how.
Right.
Or they just think no one will even bother to genuinely help them.
Exactly. I find that a lot of the students will, if if you lose their trust over something, like if they asked and then you don't follow through or something, that'll be it. They'll think, okay, here we go again. Here comes the system again to let me down. It won't be sad necessarily, but it will happen. So that's a great question for teachers too in this room is how can students experience you, because that's the word you use, as an advocate? Like literally experience your advocacy. So now you're a teacher hyphen advocate. And they write assistant, adjunct, professor, teacher hyphen advocate. I'm like, dang, that's a weird title you have there. And you say, that's my job. Are you kidding? That's the correct title for me finally. Yeah.
The quote that I like came at the very beginning. It says, when teachers slow down, students speed up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most of the time, we're trying to force knowledge down to our students because there's so much we need to cover in a semester or within a class period. And we never quite slow down to ask if the students really, if it makes sense to them, or if it has any type of meaning. And I think we've all grown up thinking, or we've been educated to think that the more information we can impart to our students, the more they learn. And I think that quote kind of goes contrary to that says that if we give students space to actually think and personalize the material, they can actually get something out of it.
Mm-hmm. They get all this stuff. It's not either or. Teachers can never be stuck in either or situations. If you feel like you're in an either or situation as an instructor, you absolutely, your job is to outthink that. Either I hurry up and give them all the information, or I slow down, they don't get the information, right? If you're smart and you know how to subsume skills inside of knowledge, right, and you know how to see learning as it's happening and to work that learning, they end up learning way more than you could have ever given them information-wise anyways. And especially when we're talking about transferable knowledge. Something they could actually take and apply on what was said in that other room and go use and move to their next academic experience. So I appreciate that point. I'm going to move us a bit to love. Ready? Okay, this is Pee Wee's challenge. This is tough. It's really tough. What time is it? Let's see if we have enough time to do this. Oh, we do. Good. Okay, here we go. So this is Baldwin, page 1. This could feel random. Okay, that was a pretty not a good segue. Bam, here now we're on love. It holds to my title. Okay, but you're going to stir it. That's your job. You're the one that's making the soup. Okay, ready? Someone want to read this, Baldwin? Please.
And therefore, when the country speaks of a new Negro, which it has been doing every hour on the hour for decades, it is not really referring to a change in the Negro, which, in any case, it is quite incapable of assessing, but only to a new difficulty in keeping him in his place. To the fact that it encounters him again, barring yet another door to its spiritual and social ease. This is probably, hard and odd as it may sound, the most important thing that one human being can do for another. It is certainly one of the most important things, hence the torment and necessity of love. And this is the enormous contribution the Negro has made to this otherwise shapeless and undiscovered country.
Okay, so here's Pee Wee's challenge. See the word this? It starts that second sentence. What does it refer to? And what's the logical relationship between that word this and the phrase hence the torment and necessity of love? Does everybody get it? He says this, what's this? And then he says this is probably hard, not as it may seem, the most important thing one human being can do for another. Certainly one of the most important, right? Hence the torment and necessity of love. Okay, you can figure it out together in groups. Go ahead. What do we know? I'm going to interrupt. What do we know? Now this is a tough moment in a classroom. This is a classroom. This is a tough moment in the classroom in the sense at the start, there is actually somewhat of a correct, at least sort of logical, syntactical answer to this. But then after that, right, you can run with this and, forever. Students can write papers. My students read this, right? The lowest level students, so-called fourth grade reading level, the whole 9 yards, right? Same ones. But what the problem is that in a classroom, sometimes when there's a correct answer, what do you do when 4 people say it and it's off? How do you no? Like students totally shut down. They tried the Pee Wee's challenge. It's like, bam, shoot. No, next time they're right. So, all right, let's see how we deal with this. Not necessarily me. You guys could help. So, what is this? What's this?
It's freedom that equals education, not just for the Negro, but also for those that have put them inside the box that they wanted to keep them, but as they realize that they added to who we are as a nation, it also opens their deal.
Oh yeah. That's beautiful. Baldwin actually says that. He says, wait till white people have to deal with the fact that the nigger that they're calling you is actually inside their head, that they've constructed it, and it's that they have to address more than anything. That's why this stuff's so hard for them. Which is another way of saying what you said. Okay. Let's stay closer to the sentence. Do we get that, or should we just let that go? It's too much. If we had a board, we'd have to write it on the board. All right, who got that? Who could hold the phrase, almost very close to the way that it was said just now? That's a quizzing, right? It's an interpretation of the phrase. Did anybody get it? Freedom that leads to education, right? That is not just applicable to blacks, but is also applicable to those people that kept them, barred them from being able to get that education. And that's what the logic of this is about. It's about those two groups, right? Did I get it? Okay. Okay, someone say it closer to the sentence. Yes.
We said either keeping or barring would be what this refers to. That act of keeping or barring from the door.
Okay. That's what's right before it. Barring the door to spiritual and social ease. Baldwin calls that one of the most important things that one human being can do is bar the door. So you're back at that door, and all of us are seeking spiritual ease, and you're out there going, no, you can't get out. You can't have social and spiritual ease. We can't talk about equity anymore in Kentucky in these terms. It gives us spiritual and social ease because we don't feel it. We sleep fine. We even snore at night. So what now? Someone else add to it. What hints the torment and necessity of love? Why does barring the door to someone's spiritual and social ease mean that cause the torment and necessity of love?
Because you have to swallow that.
Yeah. You have to swallow it. You have to swallow whatever disdain you have for their desire for spiritual and social ease. Yeah.
Yeah, it's similar to that. I was just going to say the ability to love despite that, and to be able to love enough in order to focus on overcoming that barrier.
Mm-hmm. All right, and I think that's the logic in the most simple terms. Dr. Thompson moved us up a notch into freedom and education. He's already writing the Queen. So that logic of the only way we're going to bar people from spiritual and social ease is if we love them enough and we can handle the torment of it. How is that a pedagogy? How do we translate that to practice? Who are we talking about? The administrators? You? Your students? Students are they're animals of a desire for spiritual and social ease. Whoever, the woman, wasn't it this, I might get confused, who said that she missed her class? Oh, that was the last session. She said, oh, I canceled class today to be here, but they were so happy because the game's on, they don't care. Right? Students will seek. So who's the audience? All of those audiences? How do you teach in a way that bars your students' spiritual way to spiritual and social ease, and yet you do it out of love? What does that actually look like?
You make them think. You make them question ideas. You create some cognitive dissonance that they have to overcome.
What is that cognitive dissonance, this side of the room? What is it? What is it? We got to be able to riff off it. We can't riff off it if we don't know what it is. Create cognitive dissonance.
Well, an imbalance, make them think something's not right.
It's uncomfortable because everything that you thought before doesn't line up with the next easily.
Yeah, that works. So where have we heard this uncomfortable word before and today?
Challenging their own values. Information that they thought was correct, but realize that maybe it's not so correct.
You can start to see the queen emerging. You can start to see it. You can start to see echoes of things holding together and a kind of logic to it. Does that make sense? Yes?
It speaks to a couple of quotes I put down. One was, thinking in ways not used to thinking. Changed our approach to education, and education means being uncomfortable. Or maybe you said learning means being, I was writing fast as I was.
Well, no, the student said that. And the student got that on the next page on identity. This was that Cornell West speech that they had to transcribe. Didn't I just tell you guys about that? Yeah, it took 3 days. When you have people transcribe something, try it as an exercise. They absolutely will be able to quote from it forever. Really, I'll see these students, they could rap Cornell West to me, and they didn't have it for 5 years, right? Or they'll memorize a passage out of Beloved or a poem, right, from Boots Riley, and then that'll become their analytical window or their analytical theory that they apply to some other text or several other texts. Well, next thing you know, it ramps up, it escalates their abstraction because they can hold the language. We can't think if we can't hold language. And if the language is on, I read the book 4 days ago, or I heard the psychology teacher talk 4 days ago, but I can't hold it, I can't think about it. You can't think what you can't hold, what you can't get into. So let's read that real quick, the identity thing. Sorry, you could tell me that. I'm good. Can someone read that identity thing? This was a speech to community college students from Cornell West, 2006. If you want it, I can give it to you. It's a beautiful speech on education. It's incredible. Someone read that. Someone who hasn't spoken yet today. New voice.
You don't come to be educated if you're not ready to be unsettled and unnerved and shaken up and unhoused. That's what it means to muster courage, to think against the grain, to shatter conformity and complicity, and especially cowardice,
All right. Why don't you guys just take